4.2 is graphing quadratic equations. There are 3 ways to write quadratic equations. One is standard form. Standard form is when you have your x squared term first, then your constant, then your x and then your constant. Vertex form looks like y equals a absolute value x minus h squared plus k. And intercept form, which is also called factored form, looks like y equals a x minus p, x minus q. Okay, we've talked about quadratics before. We've talked about like the parent function of a quadratic. Okay, so a parent function would just be x squared, okay, which would give us a vertex at 0, 0. Another point would be at 1, 1, and negative 1, 1. Another point would be at 2, 4. And negative 2, negative 4. Okay, so it would be a parabola shape. Okay, which is just my answer to the next statement. The shape of a quadratic is a parabola. Okay, so today we're going to focus on standard form. Next lesson or next day would be vertex form and intercept form. All right, so how are you going to graph standard form? So again, you want to make sure that it's in the correct form, that they've got the x squared, then the x, then the constant. And your goal is to first find the vertex. So to find the x coordinate, you're going to take the opposite of b and you're going to divide it by 2 of the a's. Whenever you get this number, you're going to plug this number into your equation for the x's to find the y value. Okay, and then you'll plot your vertex, you'll draw your line of symmetry through the vertex, and then you're going to need to pick some more points. So I'm going to say pick 2 more x values. And I said that I would pick the next 2 numbers after your x's or your vertex is x. So if this number calculates to be a 4, then I'm going to pick 5 and 6. To plug in. If this number calculates to be a 0, then I'm going to pick the next 2 numbers, which would be 1 and 2. If this calculates to be negative 4, I'm going to pick negative 3 and negative 2. Right? Then I'll plug those values into the equation so I can figure out their y values and graph. All right, so if I look at this equation, it's in standard form. They've got the x squared, they've got the x, they've got the constant. So my first thing is I want to find the vertex, and I'm going to do that by taking negative b over 2a. This is my b. So I'm going to do the opposite of b, which is 8, and I'm going to divide it by 2 times the a, which is 2. So I get 8 divided by 4, so our x coordinate is 2. Okay, now to find the y value, I'm going to plug my x into the equation. So I'm going to say 2 times 2 squared minus 8 times 2 plus 6. So there's 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So this is 8 minus 16, which is negative 8, plus 6. So I get negative 2. So our vertex is at 2, negative 2. Okay, I'm going to draw my line of symmetry. And I'm only drawing it up because the a is positive. And we've talked about that before. If the a is positive, the graph opens up. So I'm just going to draw my line of symmetry going up. All right, so now I need to pick some more points. I need to pick 2 more x's. So our x was 2. So the next x I'm going to choose is 3 and 4. Or you could have chosen the next 2 numbers below. You could have chosen 1 and 0 if you wanted to. And then to find the y values, I'm going to plug it into that equation. So I'm going to do 2 times 3 squared minus 8 times 3. And then we're going to add 6. Okay, so there's 9. 9 times 2 is 18. So then I have 18 minus 24. So that gives me negative 6 plus 6 is 0. Okay, so I'm going to plot 3, 0. And because a parabola is symmetrical, I'm going to reflect it over the line of symmetry and plot negative 1, 0. I'm going to plug in 4, so 2 times 4 squared minus 8 times 4 plus 6. There's 16 times 2 is 32. 32 minus 32 is 0, plus 6 is 6. So we're going to plot 4, 6. And again, a parabola is symmetrical, so we're going to go 1, 2 units away, 1, 2 units away on the other side. And these are U-shaped, not V-shaped. V-shaped would be absolutes. Then there's our first parabola. Okay, let's look at the next one. We want to find the vertex. X coordinate is the opposite of B over 2 of the A's. So if I take the opposite of their B, that would give me negative 2. 2 times their A, so their A is negative 1. That gives me negative 2 over negative 2. So our X is going to be at 1. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and kind of skip a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and make my table. So I need to pick 2 more X's. If that X is 1, then I'm also going to pick a 2 and a 3 later on. Now if I want to find my Y values, I'm going to take my X's and plug them in. So I'm going to say Y equals negative, parenthesis, our first X is a 1 squared, plus 2 times 1 plus 8. Okay, so this is 1 squared, 1. That's negative 1 plus 2 is 1. 1 plus 8 is 9. So our vertex is at 1, 9. And because the A is negative, the graph is going to open down. So I'm going to draw my line of symmetry going down. And then I'm going to plug in a 2. So I'm going to say negative 1 times 2 squared plus 2 times 2 plus 8. And that gives me 8. So I'm going to plot 2, 8, which is 1 unit away from the line of symmetry. So I'm going to reflect it. I'm going to plug in 3. Okay, so this is negative 9 plus 6. Negative 3 plus 8 is 5. So we're going to plot 3, 5. That's 1, 2 units away. So we're going to go 1, 2 units away. And we're going to sketch our parabola. Okay. I'm going to jump down to number 6. I want to find the X coordinate. So I'm going to do negative B over 2A. You need to remember that the B is in front of the X, which they didn't give you an X. So their B is actually 0. Okay, so we're going to say the opposite of 0 is still 0 over 2 times the A is 1. And 0 divided by anything is 0. Okay. Again, when I go to make my table, I want to pick the next 2 X's. So if our X is 0, then we're going to plug in a 1 and a 2. And to find our Y values, we're going to plug them into the equation. So we're going to take 0 squared minus 9, and that's negative 9. So our vertex is at 0, negative 9. The A is positive, so the line of symmetry is going to go up. Now let's plug in our 1. 1 squared minus 9 is negative 8. So at 1, we're at negative 8, and we're going to reflect that on the other side of our line of symmetry. 2 squared minus 9 is negative 5. So I'm going to plot 2, negative 5, which is 2 units away. So we're going to go 1, 2 units away. Okay. All right, last one. Let's try number 5. So the vertex, the X coordinate is negative B over 2A. or the opposite of b. So we're going to do the opposite of positive 8, which is negative 8. I'm going to do 2 of the a's. Well, the a is negative 1, so 2 of the a's is going to give us a negative 2. And that's going to simplify down to an x-coordinate of 4. And then go ahead and set up my table. Since our x was at 4, I'm going to pick the next two numbers, 5 and 6. And then to calculate any of our y's, we plug it in. So we're going to say y equals negative. We're going to plug in a 4 squared plus 8 times 4 minus 12. 16, there's negative 16. Plus 32 is 16. 16 minus 12 is 4. So our vertex is at 4, 4. The a is negative, so the graph is going to open down. So I'm just going to draw my line of symmetry going down. And then I'm going to plug in a 5. Okay, so 25, that's negative 25 plus 40, okay, is 15, and 15 minus 12 is 3. All right, so we're going to plot 5, 3. 1 unit away, so we'll reflect it. I'm going to plug in a 6. $36, that's negative 36 plus 48. Okay, so that gives us 12, and 12 minus 12 is 0. So at 6, we're at 0, which is 2 units away, so we're going to reflect 2 units away and graph our parabola.